All right, good evening. I am so thankful to have each of you here with me. I'm really grateful for you to take the time to sit in and hear these stories from these incredible ladies. I'm thrilled to have them on this call with us, and I'm excited for what tonight holds. Tonight's not going to take a long time, but it's going to be impactful, and I can't promise there won't be tears. So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Michelle Milani, and I have been on these products for about 3 years. I started because I was exhausted. I was tired all the time, and then I would lay awake at night, wide awake and unable to sleep. And I couldn't understand how someone who was so exhausted couldn't sleep. But I also had a bigger thing going on, and it's really exciting to share this in this moment because I'm a military wife. And every time we got posted, I had to start new. I had to get a new job and start fresh. And I was really tired of having to start over each time. So I was looking for something that I could take with me. And that's what I found with this business opportunity. Strangely or amazingly enough, tomorrow my husband starts his new job. He's since retired from the Air Force, and he's starting with a major airline tomorrow. So cool. So here comes free travel. I'm excited for that too. But I don't have to start over when we move again. I get to take this business with me. Plus, I have my joy back that I've started sleeping again. Now, through this business, I've met incredible people. And this is where we have so many of them, where I've met these ladies. I think I'm so blessed to have each of these women on this call with me. And what I want to point out is each of the presenters tonight are on different teams. We don't impact one another's businesses when one of us grows. And that is one of the best parts about this business, this one plexus idea that we want to work together and we want to lift each other up and we want to see each other succeed. And that for me makes me so excited. So I want to start off by introducing my fellow Manitoban, Heidi Neufeld. We met at an event last year, and her bright, beautiful smile and really warm heart drew me in right away, and we hit it off. We have similar personality types. We're go-getters. And she has a different health story, but we both have the same vision of doing amazing things with this business. So I'm going to let Heidi take it away and share her story of how these products have helped her. Go ahead, Heidi.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope that, something I say resonates. I always feel that the people who are meant to be here are always on and always listening. Everybody's journey impacts somebody in a different way. So mine started very similar to Michelle in that I was absolutely exhausted. I too, like she said, I was born a go-getter, not in the sense that I felt like I had anything, extra special or different than anyone else. I just knew that I wanted to make the most out of life. And in doing that, I got married at 18, started having kids really young, doing all the normal things that a young married and, a young mama would be doing. Had the toddlers around my feet. I was trying to help my husband grow our farm and our business, and being a perfectionist by nature, I basically hit the floor running in the morning, and at night I fell into bed and it was lights out. What life kind of looked like for me, I was working in healthcare part-time, having babies, and then doing all these things when the kids were napping and the public health nurse was telling me, Heidi, you need to rest. You guys have all heard it, right? If you're a mom, rest while the baby's resting. And in my mind, I was like, when the baby's resting, that's when I have all these things I want to get done. And you guys, I felt fine. I felt good. If you had seen me, you would have wondered, like, how's she doing this all? The problem is that when the kids would nap and I'm running up to the office or I'm running outside to hurry, you do all the errands and the things quickly before nap time, that 1 o'clock nap. I was unintentionally depleting my body. Now, I think it's always a slow fade. We don't do these things on purpose. You don't purposely skip meals with the intent that I'm going to malnourish my body. You don't purposely run yourself like crazy and miss those hours of sleep with the intention of I'm going to exhaust myself. But what happens is, and what I didn't know, is we have these beautiful little organs called the adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys, and they will fight long and hard for you. And that's what they were doing for me. They were making it appear that I had it all together and that my body was doing all the things. What I didn't know, though, was all those things that I love doing was stress. So I always thought of stress. People would say, are you tired? Are you busy? Are you stressed? I'd say, no, I love everything I'm doing. Things are good. I didn't realize, though, that all the things I was loving affect the body the same way as all those stressors that you hear, maybe job loss, loss of a loved one, marital relational issues, right? We think of that as stress. We don't usually think of the good things as stress. So there went my body. It started depleting internally from the inside out, slow fade. I was having vision disrupting migraines, which I thought was just my mom had them, my sister had them. So I'd get 10 minutes or less notice. I'd lose my peripheral with the kids in the back seat. It was scary. It was dangerous. And then I would start losing my speech. You would have thought that I had been intoxicated when I clearly was not. And then I'd be out for 2-3 days because I just would feel like an absolute physical train wreck until it was kind of like a migraine hangover. I started having anxiety. I started having panic attacks. I've written about it on my website. You're welcome to go read it, HeidiMNeufeld.com. And I share the story of how one morning I literally had gone to bed the night before, and I woke up at 5 a.m. and I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet. Thought I'd been hit by a train. My heart was racing. When I finally got up, it was to throw up. And after 2 weeks of that, which I thought I had the really bad flu, I finally went to the doctor like anyone else would do. And they said, "You're just a busy, stressed out mom." You guys, there were lots of busy, stressed out moms. I had to do a lot of learning and a lot of research. I knew that what I was going through wasn't normal, and I wasn't okay to accept it. I wasn't okay to just be prescribed a medication to Band-Aid, just to kind of get me through. I wanted to know the root. So I started learning, started going to a naturopath. I had all the hormone testing done. I knew that my body was created to be able to feel well, and that I should be able to pull my kids in the wagon without feeling like I was going to absolutely tip over, without looking at other moms, feeling totally ridden with guilt, wondering, why can't I run and play with the kids? Yeah, I'm busy and yeah, I'm doing things, but I shouldn't feel this bad, and I shouldn't be in danger of driving with my kids in the back seat. So like I said, I spent tens of thousands of dollars at a naturopath. I'd done all the things. But there was one day I had the worst migraine of my life and I couldn't drive my kids home. And I said to my husband, "This is it. This is it. Something's got to change. I can't keep doing this. It's dangerous. And I know that this is no life." So plexus came on my radar. And you know how it is. All of a sudden you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I decided that that was enough. I said, "Give me what I need to take." I started on the triplex and the X Factor. And I was deadly consistent, you guys. I figured I'm going to shelve everything else and I'm going to use it. Give me 3 months, and I knew it would take longer, but I thought that'd be a good indicator. It's been since 2015 since I've had a vision and speech disrupting migraine. 2 months after starting, I haven't had anxiety or a panic attack, and my energy started picking up almost right away. So the gut health, brain connection is real. Insulin, blood sugar stability, hormone balance. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it is normal to feel anything similar to how I was, okay? I learned that my emotions start in my gut. I hope that this story helps somebody. I hope you're inspired, and please touch base with your friend who has shared the products with you. It's a game changer.
Heidi, thank you so much for sharing. I remember the first time I heard your story, and I can't imagine that stress and that fear, knowing that when your migraine was starting, you had only 10 minutes and you might have been driving, and you live outside the city. I mean, you could have had that hour-long drive or 45-minute drive back to home and not been able to make it. So I love your story, and I'm so glad that we've had the absolute pleasure of meeting through this opportunity. I love it. So the next presenter is one of my childhood best friends. Allison and I grew up together on the same street. And Allison is one of the most kindest, most beautiful women I've ever met in my life. I was sharing on Facebook about how I had more energy, and she was feeling really unwell, terrible bloating. So she said, "I want to try that too." So she started, and Allison didn't want any part of this business, to be quite honest. She always tells me the word cringe, her cell makes her cringe. But you know what? We talked about how she could help other people. So she's going to share a little about how Plexus helped her anxiety, and that's what's propelled her to help others. So she's going to share hers. Thanks, Allison.
Hello. I have struggled with anxiety from an early age. I was always quite shy and soft-spoken and very easily upset. I used to get so anxious, and the thought of eating in front of people would make me vomit. I always worried about what people thought of me. And I suffered like this through my whole life of school, and so much it affected my schoolwork. Fast forward, I met a wonderful man, got married and had 4 children, and after my babies, the anxiety got way worse. I could barely sleep because I was paranoid and anxious about my babies if they were okay. I would check on them over and over again, making sure their windows were locked and that they were safe. I became suicidal, and I just worried all the time. My friend came over and I was crying my eyes out, and she said, let's go to your doctor right away. So my doctor wrote out anti-anxieties and antidepressants for me. And I'm so thankful at the time I had those, because that was the only option I could see at the time. I didn't know anything about gut health. And if I hadn't have done that, I probably might not have been here. So it was a very dark place to be. And I felt like I had no purpose, that I was a failure as a wife and mother. The medications masked my feelings. I could function with, but the anxiety was still there. It didn't cure it. It kind of numbed it a bit. When my 3rd child was born, and then when he was 6 months old, after consulting with my doctor, we decided to gradually wean me off my pills I was on. In the beginning, it seemed okay, but slowly the anxiety came back and got worse. It got so bad that I didn't want to leave the house because it was my safe place, and the fear controlled me. I did not start Plexus because of the anxiety. I started because I had terrible bloating in my stomach, and Michelle had shared with me, and I had been on 5 different antibiotics in 4 months. My stomach felt a mess. By the 3rd week, the bloating was much better, and I started noticing that my energy felt better. Not long after that, we were out camping, and my husband and I were sitting by the roaring river, and my kids were playing in the park. My husband said to me, wow, Al, this is sure nice. And I said, yeah, the scenery, oh, this is so nice. And he said, no, it's you. And I said, what do you mean? What about me? He said, look at you, you're so laid back. Normally you'd be so anxious and upset, and how the kids were, you wouldn't even sit down. I burst out crying in tears right then, and this is when I realized that I had been looking over all the small gradual ways that I was feeling better. I started looking at all the ways that the anxiety was becoming less. This is what my family said. My son, Nick, he said, Mom, since you've been on this stuff, your moods are way better and you seem less stressed out. My daughter, Brittany, says, Mom, you seem less high-strung and you are way more relaxed. You are more patient with everyone. And my husband, Tony, says, since you have started this stuff, it's like your light has come on in you. Your excitement is back. Your spirits are up and you have more drive. So I share my story of darkness and hope that it may encourage and give hope to just one of you, that maybe someone could relate. And I just want you to know there is so much hope.
Allison, thank you so much. I never ever get tired of hearing your story, and it still chokes me up because I know how much it meant to you. I remember the day you said, Michelle, you wouldn't believe what my family said to me. I actually had to write it down because this is what their words were. I couldn't believe what they were saying. And I'm glad you still have that note, because I think that that's awesome. I love it. So the next lady, I got connected with her about 2 years ago. Her husband and my husband deployed about the same time. Now, my husband went for about 4 months, and I think hers was gone for about 18, way longer. But she's this strong, brave, beautiful woman. And I immediately felt drawn to her, being a military spouse and just knowing the fortitude it takes to have your husband leave, and that you still hold down the fort, and that you still have control and you still got it. When I heard her story of healing, I went, wow, we need to share this. So I want to introduce my dear friend Angela, and she's going to share her story for us. Thank you.
Hi, ladies. Wow. Just wow. I'm just sitting here trying to take all of this in. I never heard Heidi's story, and I never heard Allison's full story. And yeah, it just really pierces your heart to see that other women have gone through the kind of struggles that you've gone through. And I can see myself in every one of you guys. Even though we have different diagnoses, we have different things going on, I see my story in your story. And it's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. And Michelle was so good to me while my husband was gone. He was gone for 14 months to Africa. And it was not easy in the least, but this is a great place to start kind of the story of my journey, because you'll hear me say a lot, I just believe that the Lord goes before us to prepare things before we get there, so that when we get there, we can handle what it is that we have to handle. And I know that he saw me because I prayed. Guys, I was so sick. I've had lupus for 14 years. And it progressed and kind of was a slow progression initially. And so I would have fatigue. I would have joint pain that I wasn't used to. Heidi, it reminded me a lot when you were talking, is that I love perfectionism. Like, I didn't dislike it. Like, I woke up to do it every day. You know, like, I wanted a clean house and cute kids, and I wanted to be cute, and I wanted to do all the things. And, you know, it got to where I couldn't do that anymore. And I would literally, this is a part of my testimony that I've actually never shared before. My family would find me face down on bedroom floors in our house because I will have pushed myself so far that I literally couldn't move anymore. And doctors, you know, didn't believe me, or they would throw more medication at me. It took me a very long time to get a diagnosis. So I suffered not knowing what was wrong with me, but knowing something was wrong. I love what you say about that. It's not normal. You know when you're not feeling normal, and you don't need someone else to give you confirmation that you're not normal, that you're not feeling normal. Like, I think I question that so much, is what if I'm the weak one? What if I'm just not as strong as they are? What if it's all in my head and I'm just not getting through this, right? So anyway, I finally did get a diagnosis. Before I found Plexus, I was on 13 prescription medications. Several of those were very, very harsh. And I just had a memory today on my phone of my last appointment with my rheumatologist 2 years ago today, and he took me off of methotrexate, which is a chemotherapy medication. It was destroying my body. And I was so incredibly happy. I was beside myself. And I really feel like I've lived in shock for the last couple of years, that this is my life now, that I have me back, that I am who I loved, who I wanted to be. And I always tell people when I share my testimony that I was living life, or my family was living life around me, because I was either in a chair, on a couch, on the bed, and even a wheelchair. And I wasn't bound to a wheelchair, so I didn't have to I reserve that for people that, man, some people have to live that life where they can't leave that chair, right? My thing was, I had such overwhelming fatigue and pain that if we were to go somewhere like a theme park, or even to take my kids shopping for their school clothes, I mean, my children were pushing me in a wheelchair. And to go from that to where I am now is life changing. So I met my friend Cheryl Muller, who is on here with us. And I love that we all have our friends with us, that they're such dear people to us, and that know and have seen our story. So Cheryl and I went to church together, and one Wednesday night, I had not been social. I don't even think I'd left my house for like 2 weeks. And Allison, I can't even begin to fathom the kind of anxiety and depression that was tormenting you. But I had such severe depression and anxiety because I couldn't do what other moms were doing. I would look around the grocery store and think, is she tired? Like, is she wondering how she's going to go home and put these groceries away? Is she going to be able to cook dinner for her family tonight? Why can't I do what everybody else is doing? Right? And so I went to church that night. Cheryl Muller saw me. She heard me. She recognized where I was, and she was brave enough to share with me about the products. And being a nurse, I had been researching gut health for years. Everything that I researched about my condition and about getting better and about all of it brought me back to gut health. I tried the diets, I tried all kinds of things, but I didn't have this simple tool that gives me the products that my body is desperate for in a simple format that I can make happen every single day. Whether I go to the grocery store, whether I live close, I'm a military family too, whether I live close to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or whatever, it doesn't matter, because I have the supplements and the nutrition that my body was dying for. I quickly had results. I believe that people who really have deep health issues get fast results, because I do think our bodies are just screaming for what it needs, right? So now I work out at least 3 days a week. I lift weights and I absolutely love it. My body at 45 is doing things that I've never done before, and that's pretty exciting. So Michelle, thank you so much for inviting me and inspiring me with all these stories, on top of just the gratitude that I have for my story.
Angela, I'm so thankful that you shared. Thank you so much. You posted a video earlier this week, or was it last week, where she climbed a rope. It was so cool. And gosh, I don't know when you posted one months ago that you're gonna do it, and then you posted it. I was legit in tears going, oh my gosh, she did the rope climb all the way to the top. It was super cool. And you talked about something that Heidi often touches on. Hi, sweet girl. Heidi, you talked about it with your naturopath, and you said you had asked your naturopath, well, why is this working? And your naturopath said, formulation. So even though you may be getting these bits and pieces and other things, a probiotic here, one over here, something else over here, it's the way these are put together that makes them magical. I'm just so grateful that you guys shared your stories, ladies. You're beautiful, each of you. I'm so grateful. And to the people who've joined us tonight, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself, to learn a little more. And by all means, talk to the person who invited you tonight. They care enough to have you here or to have sent you this video, and they want the best for you. I want you to take away from this that there's hope for whatever you're suffering through now. It doesn't have to be like that. Give your body time to change, but it will. These products work, they're amazing, and I'm grateful for each of you to be here. By all means, reach out to whoever invited you, and they will be glad to answer whatever questions that you have remaining. So thank you, everyone. Have yourself a marvelous evening. Good night.